Yeah, Mario Paint, the first commercial console title to legitimize action controlled with a rodent. In an age where customizable characters are a norm, modding tools allow us to easily implement our own maps into games, and all it takes is dragging an audio file across folders to have our own original soundtrack transform into an interactive stage. It can be hard to really appreciate something like Mario Paint to its full potential. Yeah, it looks great, has an overwhelming amount of charm and a sedative soundtrack, but it has so much value beyond that too. Keep in mind, right, and that is a threat, the game released in 1992. Computer owners were sparse, and even then digital art tools were still massively limited. Geometry was a privilege back then. Now take Mario Paint. Holy shit. Even if digital painting wasn't totally unheard of, at-home animation certainly was, and the ability to quickly write, play back, edit, and generally produce music like this was something of a luxury. Putting creative software as opposed to, a video game on a video game console like this was crazy, a technical marvel. When cartridge space was tiny and tile sets had to be very strictly based around optimizing every pixel for reuse on multiple levels, to have total free form in drawing whatever you want is really impressive. What about the quality and quantity of the tools though? For brushes there's multiple options for sizes, spray cans for rougher textures and blending, various shapes to draw with to save doing so much freehand work, and there's tens of different colours, patterns and stamps just to go wild and make cool stuff. You know, it's nice to see Nintendo endorse hanging their characters on an effigy. The only negative here is that moving the mouse too fast will skip pixels on the canvas, but that's on you for trying to go wild with this thing. I hope when man invented the wheel they were prepared for criticism of its use in Mario Paint centuries on. Computer mice are perfectly fine for drawing, but they can lead to a diagnosis of mild cramp over longer periods of time. Combine this with a trackball and finite movements to draw tiny details and you'll be developing arthritis at an early age. But don't worry, the game accounts for that. You can make your own stamps if you really want to get down to pixel precision. It's a great way to draw smaller characters with absolute perfectionism in mind, or just create a smaller brush because you live in vain. Look, I'm really just finding ways to ramble about a blank canvas at this point. What do you want me to do? Draw you? The only limit here is muscle ache, and even then the game does so much itself to offset that. Tiny details like waiting for the fill tool have little animations to go, huh, that's neat, towards. You can declare an end of war in the time it takes to save a painting, but it's all made up for with a front row viewing of a robot figuring out a Rubik's Cube with funky tunes. What could otherwise be the simplest of menu details have the most unnecessary animations just because it looks cool. And that's still not even the limit because you can animate things yourself. It may be limited to a few frames, but this is legitimate animation software on a home console in 1992, and that's incredible. Borderline anything is possible to create, and get as graphic as you want. Twitter doesn't exist yet, go wild. If that's not enough, you can make your own music to go alongside your animations. It may be limited to a few instruments, but this is legitimate music production software on a home console in 1992, and that's incredible. You can also open a few sample music tracks to play back, edit, and generally study how these things work if you're not the most artistic type and want to learn, or if you're just having an off day and feel more into plagiarism than discovering your own creative outlet. Same goes for the drawings too. There's a few samples you can use for letting your burdens out on, I guess. There's so much you can do with what feels like so few yet so extensive tools, and I absolutely adore it. Mario Paint just may have decayed the joints in my wrist by a few additional decades in advance, but it also let me draw fanfiction.